Hey everyone, Michael here. So this is going to be sort of a quick summary, and I say quick, but I'll try to keep it quick around what the town hall was. And I know some of you were not able to make it. You were kind enough to reach out, and that's just unavoidable. There's no way in a perfect world that I could set a day and a time and make the entire gym be able to show up. So for those that did come, this is just a recap, and those that weren't able to make it, this is a summary. I will try my best to keep it as thoughtful as I can and as concise as I can. Don't hesitate, please, to reach out. There will be questions. This is not going to be perfect. And to some degree, I'm going to use all of you to help me sort of make it better. So let's just sort of lay the framework out. Some of you, I might be sort of a fresh face from a coaching perspective for you. Many of you, you've known me. I mean, pretty much everybody in this gym, for the most part, got their start with me. You came into the gym, we met face to face, we did the assessment, and then we got you into that on-ramp class and then into the group training. With that, I mean, we have been here almost 10 years now. And there is no question, if you know me at all, that I'm a person who is all about evolution. Where I was as a coach, snot-nosed kid when I first started over 14 years ago, and where I am now, two completely different places. And every year, every day, every week, I'm constantly sort of reinventing and thinking in terms of how are we doing what we're doing, what's the most optimal way, learning, trying to make everything that we're doing even better, and making ultimately what I want for you and for me is to unify and clarify my values around what health and fitness means to me, create an environment that expresses those things, and then ultimately have wonderful men and women like yourself that resonates with, and then you come in and make this a beautiful community of resonating values. So with that, what it allows me to do, so that, many of you know that there's maybe just been a little bit of a staffing change recently, and not to make light of that, but it does truly give me an opportunity to think about what we've been doing, and I think where we were and what we've had has been good to a point, but I know if you know me well enough, you know that status quo is never something that I accept. And my values around fitness and health and the way that I want to create an environment that people can come and get healthy and strong and be vital and create a path to elongate their health and fitness for the long term. I really wanted to sit down and reevaluate what we were doing, and I've been thinking about it nonstop since once I heard Taylor was moving on. I decided immediately that it wasn't just going to be, well, I'll just find another coach and they'll just sort of keep everything going and we'll just keep status quo. Like, nope, this is a perfect opportunity for me to dive back in and think about deeply what we're doing. I've always been doing that. There's not a moment that I've been in this gym watching classes go by that I'm not sitting there processing what do I see, what do I do, all the education opportunities that I've pursued, all the individual clients that I've been training. All of that is constantly evaluating what we do in this place. And now I have the opportunity to reinvent it a little bit, and that's what we're going to do. So let me get into some of the details here, and I'm going to just double check a couple of notes and give me a second. So I think the key to all of this is that my biggest goal, my number one most important thing, is to make sure that your experience and what you're doing in this gym obviously does two things. It's something that you're excited about, and that helps you ultimately connects with my values around the fact that I think I am all about long-term health and fitness. None of you are making a living in fitness. None of you are competitive athletes, truly competitive athletes making a living doing that. So everyone is here with some level of desire to make sure that you are healthier tomorrow or 2 years from now or 20 years from now. And everything that happens in this gym that I ultimately feel responsible for needs to help move towards that end. This is a gym of amazingly motivated, quality men and women, speaking to all of you, that care about the nitty-gritty, care about the details, care about the granular minutia, which is why we get along. It's why you're here. If you didn't, we wouldn't be a good fit. So it's that gets me to the point around I want to figure out where we can go, what we can do better, and that's what we're going to talk about. So what I'm talking about ultimately is a hybrid or redefined model of what our group fitness program will be. If you've had an opportunity to come to our Choose Your Own Adventure Saturdays, or you've been maybe coming to one of the evening classes where it's been a smaller class and we've had a chance to look at the board, and a couple of you are going to be able to nod your head where we look in the board and be like, hey, what did you miss this week? And you're like, oh, I really missed deadlift on Monday. I really would, oh, let's do deadlift. Great. Oh, but I missed front squat. I really want, oh, okay. So, and we've been able to divvy things up. Or on Saturdays in particular, if you have come to any of the Choose Your Own Saturdays recently, that is nothing but a what did you miss? What would you like to do? We do a little dialogue, create an environment, and then we have 10 to 15 to 20 men and women in this gym doing something a bit more purposeful than just me putting up a training on the board. And I think that's the fundamental difference. So I am sort of used that, I have to admit, I've sort of been using that choose your own adventure a little bit as a sneaky way to just observe and see how it goes and it feels, and it resonates beautifully with me, because then I can coach the room and work with each of you on a much more heightened level of motivation and goal driven and purpose than, again, me just creating a workout on the generic workout on the board. And that's more the direction that we're going with. When I think about the value of group fitness, so many of you, and I don't disagree with that, find enjoyment out of a community of men and women working together. With that, again, if you've come to the Choose Your Own Adventure Saturdays, when you're doing deadlift on platform A, but your buddy next to you is doing front squat because that's more appropriate for that person because that's what they missed that week, I don't think your community experience is any less diminished. Actually, it's probably even more fun, and you still talk on the rest windows. And where I feel that the group fitness piece has a lot of merit and it tends to just make it more enjoyable for many, and this is not for everybody, but I'd say those that are more driven towards a group fitness environment, is that conditioning session. So what I am proposing and what I'm going to suggest, the direction we are going to go is I want to more individualize the strength component to our weeks and generalize, which is what we've been doing, the conditioning sessions. So now the Monday through Saturday becomes a choose your own adventure every day within reason. And there'll be more organization to it with the idea that let's just take client, person, pick a name, whoever. And that person trains 3 days a week on a regular basis. I and that person, all of us, are going to meet together a little bit for a short window. I will also submit some information so you can do this online so we can have a bit of a prep session. But I'm going to have you basically communicate to me, like, what are your goals? Are there certain lifts that you want to progress with? Are there certain movements that you'd like to develop? Is there something that you really want to get your hand around? Is it deadlift? Is it whatever that might be? And then what I'm going to do is actually create a program based on the 3 days a week that you're going to train on a regular basis. And you're going to come here and have your strength training individualized plan with my generalized conditioning plan. So 10 people come in the morning class is a great example of this. 10 people come in like they normally do, except now a couple of you are deadlifting, a couple of you are squatting, a couple of you are pressing, maybe a couple are doing Turkish get-ups or something else. And then at 20 minutes to the hour, we spread out, put equipment back, we all come back together now, and then we as a group do our conditioning together. Very similar for the evening classes too, and the goals there, the needs there is that I have to get an semblance of what your goals are and work with you. And that's where it's not going to be a perfect world, but we will get to that. And that's why I sort of need probably a month or so to be able to data mine this with you. But we will plan out what your schedule looks like, generally speaking, what lifts or areas of interest you have. And then again, I will take that data, put it together, and then hand back to you a monthly plan that you will work out and train. And then that plan will develop and augment over time, and we will stay in contact with that. There's a lot of information here, so I'm trying to summarize it because I know there's probably tons of questions, and that's why it's not perfect that we're doing this via video, but bear with me. We're 10 minutes in, so here we go. I think you can understand that the reason behind a lot of this is a millionfold. One, I can't tell you how often when someone is able to go back and make up a lift that they missed, how excited they are that because they want to get better at their deadlift or they want to get better at their squat. I can think of a couple of questions that have come up. I remember one client that asked me a great question that she wanted me to sort of answer on one of the end of the week summaries, which is how in a group model lifts are always supposed to be expected to be going up. And I have to be 100% transparent that it's impossible. That in a group generic environment where I'm putting up various lifts across the week and you're interfacing that based on your schedule, not based on repeated exposure, with your history and this gym's history of having people participate in this program for years, there is a self-fulfilling prophecy of stagnant results. There's a point at which you will not be improving because you just haven't had the consistency. If you want a better deadlift and you've been at this gym for more than a year plus, you need to deadlift on a regular basis, which means once a week plus or minus, if that's a goal. And if it isn't, then we find a different goal. So that's sort of the basis around the idea that I want to make sure that you're doing what you want to be doing, I would also say what you should be doing, because there is a side of me that says, as I watch some of you, and potentially this makes sense to more new lifters or somebody coming to a new lift that maybe they haven't done in a while, you need that repeated exposure. You need the opportunity to have a plan that has you exposing yourself to that movement on a regular basis, at least weekly, so that you can progress. Which is only fun because progression for most of you are here for results, and results usually means weight on the bar, and weight on the bar usually means that you know what you're doing and you're confident and competent in what you're doing, and that usually means and requires that you have repeated exposure to that movement, and it only requires more of that and more dedication and more consistency as you want better results and as those results tap closer and closer to your ultimate potential. Rewind that section because that is the goal and the reason behind this motivation, the motivation for making this change. There's going to be some unknowns. Maybe you don't know what you should work on. I can 100% help you with that. Maybe you don't know what you want to do or what you should do. I can help you do that. Or maybe what you can do. We'll come back to that. But again, I can help you. There are so many pluses to this. It's just going to be a little bit of a journey for all of us to get this going. But let me illustrate some of the huge pluses that I'm really excited that this environment will create. First and foremost, it's the fact that you will all have a strength program now that's going to be much more specific to your needs and goals. Bear none. That is probably the biggest, most exciting thing for me because I know then that you will be progressing better, making more concrete results. Your lifts will look better. Your mechanics will look better. Everything will be more consistent. And in the end, I think it's a much better product. The hidden gem here is there are movements that I have extracted and taken away from the program and never to be seen again. I'm taking a movement like an overhead squat, let's say. There are a number of you in this gym that lift would be perfectly applicable for, but there are many of you that isn't applicable for. And that is why we don't do it, because if the majority don't have a positive result from an exercise, I'm not going to do that exercise. Then it's just a parlor trick to make a cute Facebook post. But in this new environment, new lifts or lifts that you always wanted to do, or maybe we used to do, and me and my adult head decided, oh, we're not going to do it as a group anymore. And you're like, but I really like doing that, and I was actually maybe really good at it. Then guess what? We can do that because we now are coordinating our heads and filtered through my knowledge of who you are, what you can do, what your capabilities are, movement patterns, all of that. Now we can make a plan, and I have the ability to ramp that in so we can layer in over the time and a window so that you can build and develop your skills on this movement, which is a win-win. And there's some parameters with that we have to be considerate, and it will always be filtered through me. So if you're not a good overhead squatter, we're not going to overhead squat, and I'll be the adult in the room to say, no, it's not a good fit for you, and here's why, and you'll be like, oh yeah, that's right. But for some of you, absolutely, and beyond from that. Other aspects, now check this out. This is probably the most crazy, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but I am. How many times does work prevent you from getting here and you're like, it's 5:20 and it's like, oh man, and I gotta. Or you know what, maybe it's a Friday and you're a half day and you're like, geez, I could get to the gym earlier. Well, but class doesn't start until 5, blah, blah, blah. I want you to know that I'm changing the game. I'm changing the game on you. MSP Fitness now, so if you're an exclusive coaching client of mine, you have access to the gym whenever the gym is open. The gym is open from the morning till quarter to 6, till about 7. In the afternoons, though, from about 3 o'clock during the day, Monday through Friday, for the most part, till about 7 Monday through Thursday and 6:15 on Friday. My exclusive coaching clients can come anytime they want because they have a directed program that's specifically for them all the way head to toe. I am going to offer my group fitness clients the same opportunity. But what does this mean? It means that if you, excuse me, itchy nose, if you're going to come to the gym and it's 4:15, now you just have to understand that you might have to work a little more independently. Independently, not anonymously. You're not headphones on hiding in a corner. You're going to get out your workout. I'll talk about the warm-ups and stuff like that. And you're going to do your amazing lifting that's prescribed by me, that we've discussed and coordinated. And then when it gets to the conditioning session, that's a little bit of the unique piece, that if you're going to utilize the opportunity to come to the gym on off class times, which I am saying now is absolutely an option. I can't believe I'm saying this. 9.5 years later, I never thought I would ever offer an open gym. But it means that your conditioning session might have to be a bit more of a one-off, meaning you're going to probably have to do it yourself. But you're still going to be in the gym with your compatriots nearby. I'm going to be here nearby. A coach will be here. It's not going to feel like you at an LA Fitness with headphones on and just like, stay away from me, creepy people. I'm just going to do my little thing in the corner. It's not an anonymous training session, but it will be a little bit more intrinsically driven. But that is an opportunity now. Open gym. You can come to the gym whenever you can when we start this program, so let's keep that in mind. I touched on the warm-up part. So we talked about the open gym part. We talked about new lifts and new opportunities. What that does shift for us a little bit is it shifts us away from the sort of typical, like, hey, I come in, Michael throws me a stretchy band, we do some stretchy band stuff for shoulders because it's a shoulder workout, because you might not actually be doing shoulders. You might be doing deadlifts or squatting or whatever. So the onus will be a little bit more on you now to do the warm-up, to come in and warm your hips up, warm your knees and ankles up, warm your shoulders up if you're doing an overhead press. And it's not going to be all alone hiding in a corner. My plan is to create small templates around a hinging, squatting, and a shoulder workout that will give you some guidance of here's what you can do to warm up. I think I'll also translate that to a video that you could have access to, so you could even like see the video before you do it and you could come in and do your warm up. Or for some of you, and this is a huge plus to me, there are certain warm-up movements that would be much more applicable to some of you. I was just working with Pete Critch this morning on a shoulder thing, and there's a great shoulder exercise that I would have him do as a prep to all of his shoulder days, which isn't appropriate for everybody and probably wouldn't be needed by some of you, but it's perfect for him. So let me get that to him, and then that's now in his tool chest for his overhead days. Does that start to make sense? So probably the big question now that everybody might be asking is like, wow, that's a lot of new features and new enhancements. What does that mean? And what that means for you is nothing more than everything that you currently have with this gym. There's no pricing change right now. There's no plan to change anything. We already went through that journey at the top of the year. And it is what's important to me about this and why we're making this change is it's what's going to make me happy. It's going to satisfy me. It's going to make me excited to come into this gym every day and see all of you doing more purposeful work, better work, more quality work, and tying that work to your results and your desires and goals and whatnot. That's what makes me happy. And you are the ones that are going to help kind of beta test what I might consider sort of a very unique group fitness experience. So keep that in mind, please. So what are the next steps? Still sort of figuring that out. But it will probably be some sort of a mass email to all of you asking for a rough idea of what your consistency of training might be for the week. How many days are you planning to come on a general basis? We'll get more into that. If you don't know if it's going to ebb and flow, we can make that work. Once we know that, then sort of a wish list. Like, what are your goals? Do you want to just get stronger? If you just want me to fill in the puzzle pieces, I'm absolutely happy to do that. If you want to work with me to help you fill in the puzzle pieces, I can absolutely do that. If you have specific guided note, like I really want to do that, and then I want deadlift, then we will dialogue on this. That's going to take a little time. My hope is probably by the end of September. Maybe earlier, but I just want to make sure that we're not rushing this. So nothing's going to change in the very immediate, but I'd like to feel like we get this online here at the top of a week, near to the mid to the end of September. And I don't mean to be a bit obscure about that, but there's just some unknowns that we have to work out together. It's not going to be perfect. It's going to be a little weird. I hope that all of you are thinking nothing more than this is an exciting new opportunity, because I'm excited for it. So not that that's all that matters, but I hope that matters a lot, because it is. I want you to reach out to me, talk to me in class, talk to me before class, after class, email me. I will meet with you whenever we need to if you have specific questions. I might take your question and put it back out to everybody, because there might be things that I've missed in this conversation that I had the luxury to talk about in the town hall when we had question and answer period, which we don't have here. But I hope you get a pretty good overview of what we're trying to do. I'm really excited for this. I'm a little nervous for it, just because it's a big shift. It's a big shift for me. It's a big shift for this gym. but it's the right shift, and it's definitely the right direction that we want to go. So this is Michael Pillover signing off for the short term. Thank you all for being a valued member of this community, and I'm excited for what we're going to make it be. Have a great day.